hold them accountable, right? So these are three main things I would like to see in sales teams. Now, why are these important? The first one is, when we set goals for sales teams, sometimes we just set the money goals. 我们有时候就给销售团队设置一些目标，我们就说，你达到多少的这个指标，你能够挣多少的钱。How much you make, how much you hit, and how much money you'll make. Sometimes, not just sometimes, many times, it just does not work. Now I'll explain why later. Right? That's one part. So it's what about the skills? What are some skills you can do so that your team can sell better? 你希望你的这个团队在哪些方面的技能可以改善，然后让他们更好地做销售。So that's the second part. It's not just motivation; it's also about skills development. And the third part is, in sales, people tend to go out there and sell. They are less willing to be bounded by the company. They want to be out there and be autonomous. 很多销售人员他希望都有一定的自主权，要怎么去完成销售。So that's something that we would like to have. Now, on the other hand, about autonomy, is that a lot of managers are concerned about not having enough control over the salespeople. So I give you autonomy. You're out there selling, but how do I know if you are selling for me? Right, so I don't know if you're selling for me or for someone else, or if you're really doing your job. 就我给你很多的这个自由，很多的这个自主权，你去外面做销售到处去，我怎么知道你是在做销售还是在开小差呢？这样子 I don't know. So how do we have a balance? So we'll take a look one by one. 再下一个。Right, so 上面。Oops. Sorry. So why are salespeople not motivated by sales targets, and why they may not be motivated by their sales bonus, right? So when we talk about sales bonus, what happens is, let's say you have a sales meeting, and a sales meeting is about setting up next year's sales targets. 有一个销售大会干嘛呢？就来定下明年的这个目标，明年指标。And what a boss said about last year's target was, the good news is we hit our targets. We hit all our targets for last year. In fact, we exceeded our targets. So this year, everybody is going to have a sales bonus. 去年指标是完成了，大家奖金都会拿得满满。So we're all happy, right? Now, on the other hand, then the boss starts to say, since we are so good in hitting our targets last year, next year we are going to increase your sales targets by 50%. 去年都做得那么棒，都很牛。那我们明年就设个小目标吧，就增加指标50%，增加会看。Right? So we'll increase the targets by another 50%. And when you hear this, how would you feel? Excited. Excited. You start counting the money. 50, I get more. Right. So sometimes salespeople will get demotivated, even though we set a hard target, because if they don't see the possibility of accomplishing that target, sometimes they get demotivated instead of being motivated. 那如果是销售没看到他怎么样能够完成他的这个指标，他反而会觉得更加沮丧，而不是受到激励。Right. So that's one part. So Lucy. Okay. So how do we motivate people? There are various parts of the motivation. So the thing about motivation is it's not just how you pay people. So you have to expect a payoff. It's not just about, if you do A, I'll give you how much. If you do B, I give you how much. That's just one part of the equation. And we're not even talking about, are we being motivated by money or not? Some people are motivated more by money. Some people are motivated by something else, like team recognition, like values, and a lot of other things. So we have different motivators, and we're not even talking about that. The key thing about the sales force is about how do you then improve the chances of success? How can if you set a very challenging sales target， 如果你的指标是设得非常非常的这个很有挑战 ，then how do you make sure that your salespeople believe, like what Dean was saying, have the confidence, have the self-belief that they can do it？ 你设了一个比较艰难的一个挑战，你怎么让你的这个销售人员能够相信自己他能够做到 ，right？And of course, when we talk about seeing the possibility， 如果你要让自己看到这个成功的概率 ，normally what happens is we make we train them, we give them training, right? But sometimes training does not work. So sometimes we need to celebrate a little bit of success. We need to, for every small achievement, we try to celebrate a bit. 就你有一些小小的一些成功成效，我们都可以做一些小小的一些庆贺。The other thing is that sometimes we need to think about how to actually get people understand what they need to do. 我们要怎么样让对方了解他们要怎么做 ？So it's not just about what you need to do as to achieve a sales goal. There's this very popular book called, I think that it's not around. There's this popular book called Start with Why. Right? So we need to let people know why you need to achieve a certain goal. What's in it for me? So if the boss says you need to achieve 150% of the sales target， 问老板说你要完成你150%的这个训练指标。So why do we need to do that? Maybe the market is growing. Maybe there are a lot more opportunities. Maybe your former customers, your existing customers are going to reorder a lot more from you, right? So there could be some reason why. Then we're going to let them know what exactly. The next one, Lucy. We're going to know what do they need to do. So it's not just about why. We're going to let them know exactly what to do. And not just what, we need to let them know how to do it. We need to let them know how, and not just how, but also if they do everything, so what? And what if they do some other way? So it's all about how we actually manage the salespeople from different angles and let them sink in on exactly why they need to do it, what exactly they need to do, how to do it, and so what if they do it. And how do we do that? So a lot of people say training, but not everyone wants training. Not everyone wants training because if you just explain, a lot of salespeople don't buy it. This is actually from a sales force. They want to have training, but the sales managers say don't do training. 就是我们那个销售团队的这个领导说呢，别做培训。Why? The salespeople, because they are sometimes salespeople has got huge egos. Has got they really want to do things your own way. 有时候这个销售人员他的那个什么想法特别强烈，他要按照自己的方式来做事。So if you just tell them how to do it, sometimes they don't buy it, right? Sometimes when we do training, we give too much information. We try to squeeze too much information in 2 days of training. 有时候培训做的时候就会有太多的信息挤到2天的时间里。Too much information in 2 days, and people get overwhelmed. And what happens? Anyone has been through a sales training with real sales people before? 为什么有人就参加过就是真实的销售人员在销售培训里面 ？What usually happens in a sales training?
I've had a little bit of sales training. But there's a lot of information.
Yeah.
I tend to lose a lot.
Okay, they lose a lot. lot. Yeah. What happens to the salespeople in the sales training? No, their phones will ring, right? Then they need to reply WeChat, they need to reply calls, they need to send emails. They have customers asking them for the latest prices. They got customers asking them where is my latest shipment. 我们销售人员如果是参加个销售培训，通常都有各种的骚扰，对吧？客户会骚扰他们，很多很多。So they get very much distracted when the training gets longer. In fact, we have the best sales training at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. So at the end of December and the beginning of January was one of the times when we have great sales training, even though it was online. What happened? All the customers are sick. All the customers have tested positive. The customers are lying at home. So no one is disturbing the salespeople. That's what happened in the end of January this year. Right? So we have a very quiet sales training. Right? So usually we get a lot of distractions in the sales training. And of course, sometimes salespeople sometimes don't really trust the sales trainers. They want to know that, have you done my industry before? Have you seen my customers before? They sometimes don't really trust that much what is in the content, what is in the sales training. So what do? Sometimes we go for coaching. So without going into the step-by-step coaching, so I'm going to invite our special guest, Rudy, who will role play with me. So Rudy is now not Rudy, the boss of the company. Rudy now is a salesperson reporting to Erica, and Erica, oops, and Erica has just set a very challenging sales target for Rudy to accomplish this year. Right, so, and Erica has kind of doubled last year's sales target. And we appreciate it. and Rudy is finding it quite challenging to kind of meet the sales target. So Rudy is going to be the salesperson. I'm going to be the coach that Erica has hired to fix Rudy. And, so can we get Rudy to we get 2 chairs? Right, so let's have a demo. Have a seat. Are you ready? Right, so what we're doing is overall, just to ask Rudy. Rudy is, by the way, is also an experienced coach. And what happened earlier on was I was looking for volunteers to role play. So Rudy volunteered. Like we kind of see Rudy tend to volunteer as a coachee in many coaching situations. You were a coachee for Bear also.
Yeah. So it happens like this. I always register late for event because there is always something happening that I will go to. Okay. For an event, I register late.
Yeah.
And then the trainer or the coach or the organizer was looking for demos, and then they have nobody, and then they ask me again, and then it's just like 1 or 2 days before. Okay, I will help out, but also in mind, I probably will learn something. It challenges me also to dive deeper.
Right. So I'd like Rudy to invite Rudy for feedback. How was the coaching this time?
Yeah, it's good process if I look back, because we are used to do it, but we don't do it for ourselves or with ourselves enough. Yeah, so it gives you element of refreshing. Of course, as coaching in principle doesn't bring content. If I would have 3 sessions with you, we will probably come to a point that I say, that's it, I don't have anything more to have. And then, is there any idea or to share some content or not? I'm not sure.
Right. Thank you. Now the thing about coaching, how many of you has done coaching in your company? 哪些同仁在企业里面有做过这个教练 ？Coaching company? In the company? Yes. No. Yeah. Right. Somehow. Okay. Somehow. Okay. Right. Right. So there are certain parts of coaching. So one thing about the coaching is that we don't give answers straight away. So we don't give direct answers. The other thing about the coaching is that some companies sometimes they tend to complain that coaching takes a long time, right? Both in the time to get results and also the time to do the coaching itself. So that people were saying that it takes like 1 hour, 2 hours to do the coaching, but sometimes coaching can be done a lot shorter. Right? So what I've done with Rudy is that if I'm a sales manager and want to do a 10, 15-minute coaching, it can be done. So I'm going to explain what is the methods behind the methods of coaching. Lucy, 下一页。Right, so the first thing is to decide to coach or not to coach. 我们是要做培训还是要做教育？ To coach or not to coach. So if the salesperson does not know how to sell, right? If the salesperson says, the customer is squeezing our prices, I do not know how to handle that kind of objections or negotiate that with the customer, then we'll train them. 如果销售人员对于某些方面的技能他不会做，他不做。That's key. Now, the other thing is to mentor. The second part over here is to mentor is that if you are an old salesperson, right? You've been there, you've done that, you've done this before. If you're an old salesperson, then what you want to do is to make sure that you show the new salesperson how to do it. 叫老司机开车啊 You show the new guy how to do it. We're not going into the counseling. Counseling is usually deep psychological impact. So 这还不是传统意义上的辅导，更多是教练啊，这辅导像是心理辅导。So coaching is not from the conversations that I had with Rudy. Right? Rudy has said, no, last year this is what I did. This year, even with the challenges, I can look for referrals, I can look for different industries, I can do different things that I can actually expedite my sales. So Rudy knows how to do it. The question is, what course of action can Rudy take so that he gets to where he wants to get to faster? 大致上，Rudy 他对于他的这个什么技能方面，他是知道怎么做，关键是他怎么去了解哪一条道路会让他更有效地达到他的目的。Right, so that's what we want to do, right? So and this is what we say. Now in traditional coaching, usually the coachee will ask the coach, I have an issue, or the coach will ask the coachee, what would you like to talk about today? Right, that's traditional coaching. Now in the sales context, the sales manager can frame the purpose of the coaching. 如果你是老板的话，你可以跟那个什么下属说，今天我们来聊什么事情。So we start with what I like to discuss with you is the ways you can meet next year, or this is started more effectively. Is it okay? I check with you for 30 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever time that you want to allocate. 下一个。And we will let the person know, especially if you are the boss. Now, when you coach your team member, what you want to make sure is that you are now not in the role of the boss. 你现在是当教练的角色，不是老板的角色。So you're going to let the other person know that, please be assured that whatever we discuss today is to help you get better, It's not a performance review, and I'm not picking on it 这不是那个什么绩效评估，不是在跟你找茬，我们只是来探讨怎么样让这个工作能够做得更好一些。Right? So that's the first part. 下一个。And we can also start by also let the salesperson know what are the things that this person has been doing well. So sometimes it's also in a way how Asians manage people is that we tend to point out the weaknesses and only the weaknesses. 有时候我们的这个亚洲的这个什么家长式的这个管理方式更多是指出对方哪里做得不好，仅仅指出对方哪里做得不好。Right? So sometimes we also in coaching would like to remind the coachee what they have done well. 有时候我们需要提醒对方，你在哪方面做得好。And this is not just to make the other person happy. 不是为了让对方开心。It's also to let the person build on their strengths. 我们需要让对方就是说你哪些方面做得好，然后你这次做得好方面是不是能够再接再厉，能在这个基础上做得更好。This is my level on the strengths. 下一个。And so we go into the present. Well, what's happening right now? And we can ask the other person, how do you feel about next year's targets? 下一个。What steps would you take to meet the targets? What can I help you with you now? So it's all about the things that you are doing now. It could be also some of the options that you have now, or everything that's currently happening or you're thinking about. If the coachee has make some comments, or I make an observation about Rudy about when it says that a lot of things you need time. It's new. You need time. You need to build trust. So one of the things I reflect back to Rudy was like, sounds like you spend a lot of time building trust and relationship with customers. Right? So it's also to give the credit when it's due. So 对方如果说到他好像付出了很多心血，花了很多的这个努力。是不是也可以就把这个重点给就是体现出来 ？So it's about really understanding what a person is trying to convey. 不仅是听到对方所说的，但是不是能够感受到对方所感受到的 ？Right? And it could be, I'm hearing a lot of uncertainty. What is the real challenge here? So in Rudy's case, it's not about uncertainty. I hear a lot of options. Right? It's referrals. It's different histories. There is other things to try. So there are different options. So is there something else? You can tell me more, or you can the next one is what else? When Rudy was saying, okay, I can ask for referrals, and I can ask this person for referral and that person for referral. So what else besides referral? So we try to ask questions to get people to think about what could be the other possibilities. So remember, these are some of the things that we know. We know how to do it. But we may not be consciously aware that there could be more options. 这些事情都是我们知道怎么做的，但我们未必能够有这个清楚的意识到，我们还有更多的选择。Okay, so and then we clarify, and we can say, give the consent to say what is one outcome you'd like to achieve today. You say that this and this and this, how are they related? Even in our session just now, I asked Rudy which ones. No, there are different ways, and everyone needs time. So which one would you like to start first? Right, so we got a limited time, and you have a lot of ideas. Which will be the best use of your time? Right? So that's what we want. 我们说到，就是你有不同的一些想法，不同的一些策略，但你有限的时间，那你会以怎样的方式来进行第一步？第一步会做什么？下一个。Yeah, how do you buy it? There are some things that are not clear. I ask questions like, you said a lot of do this, do that. What does it mean? When you say pressure, what kinds of pressure? Right? And certain things are too general. We just want to find out a little bit more about what the person is thinking. 对方说他感受到压力，那怎么样的压力？哪来的压力？等等啊。What course of actions will be within your control? So sometimes salespeople will say that the market is bad, the customers are squeezing our prices, the competition is very aggressive. So these are things that are outside their control, right? Or our bosses do not give enough support. Our marketing is doing all the wrong kinds of things. No one is supporting me, and we can understand that. We can empathize that. But what are some of the other things that are still within your control? Right? We can vent about things outside of control, but we can only change things that are within our control. 有时候销售会吐槽啊，就是说公司不好，行情不好，客户不好，竞争对手啊那个怎么样？这你要吐槽啊没问题，你要宣泄可以宣泄，但如果你要采取行动，我们只能够采取我们控制范围里面能影响范围里面的一些行动。So we can have experiences. So can I share an observation with you? Can I share a story with you? Can I share some insight with you? In Rudy's case, I say I share an observation as in I seem to be spending a lot of time building trust and relationship with customers. Right? So it's observation, so I can share observations. 下一个 with 9 steps, so this is getting there. Right. So and then if we have a lot of things, we can say that what's important for you here, why you choose that, what is likely to be the first step, what could be fully committed look like for you. Right. The last one is if you find that the salespeople lacks motivation, right? It's not fully committed, and that salesperson promises to be fully committed. Then you can ask them, okay, you want to be fully committed. What does fully committed look like to you? Okay, so that's one way of looking at it. 那如果有时候有销售啊，就是说我会尽心尽力的。那我们可以问对方，那你如果说尽心尽力，怎样才算作是尽心尽力？尽心尽力是什么样？Okay, so we're going to answer that. 下一页。And then we'll look for more options. We can say what could you do, what would happen if the market is bad, what would happen if certain things happen, and what else could you do. We can explore further possibilities. And lastly, 最后一个。下一个，对。Right, so the last one is yes. In all coaching, we always ask for actions. Right, even if there are no clear actions, sometimes they just coach about how to deal with a certain customer. Sometimes it's just about problem solving. So it's not so much about action making, but it's about problem solving. So if it's not a clear action, we may ask them, so what did you learn today? What did you realize today? 今天体会到什么? Right, or if it's actions, like in this case, so what will be your first step actions? It's not just about what actions, especially when the coachee has many different possible actions. So we may want to say, what would you want to start with first? 第一步会做些什么? And then, what would be your first steps? And then we can ask them, what kind of support? It's not just about taking actions, but what kind of support do you need? And for things that are not action-oriented, you can ask them, what did you learn today, what did you realize today, and how would you apply it on your work? Right, so this is something about, without the action, it becomes a chit-chat. 如果没有一个行动计划嘛，整个教练不叫教练，就好像是聊天。Right, so that's something to think about. Right, and without going further with the PPT, having issues about shifting slides. So everything in the slides are in your phones right now. I just want to talk a little bit about the autonomy. So if you are asking your salespeople to go out there and sell, well, first of all, just do a survey. Why do you think people become salespeople? 为什么销售人员会选择成为销售？Why people take sales as a career? Why they go to the sales job? 为什么人会选择销售这个工作 ？Money. Okay. What else?
Yeah, because freedom to manage yourself.
You got freedom, you got autonomy, autonomy, right? The result. What else?
Also to improve their communication skills.
Okay, you want to have better skills, 自我提升, better skills in everything else. Clear results, yeah. Your results are tied to your efforts directly. 你付出什么，你得到什么，这个比较直接。And sometimes it is in times like this when it's hard to get a job. Sometimes people become salespeople because they could not find any other job. 我找不到其他工作。
Well, also companies only have to pay them commission, so you don't have to say.
Yeah, sometimes they pay commission, so it's got commission-based job. There are many things, but the basic, the most basic one is still autonomy. A lot of people like to become salespeople or stay and still remain as a salesperson. 就有些人是无奈变成销售人，但那些能够做下去的，坚持成为销售人员，不断做销售人员。It's because of autonomy, because freedom, 有自主自由的一个一些。So they like autonomy. So the next question, yes, thanks.
I think the other thing is maybe skill set.
Yep.
As much as sales is a skill, but sales or selling is a skill, but generally people who go to sales they don't have skill like accounting.
Okay. Yeah. Which goes to I couldn't find any other job.
Yeah, they are not technical.
I don't have the skills, so I become sales.
Skills.
They could eventually do deal, become the GM or the boss of the company.
Okay. Sometimes, yeah. 有些销售变高管。
I think it also depends on what you're selling.
Yeah.
So I think when somebody comes to you and tries to sell you a complicated solution
Yeah.
that you're clearly not a part of, so it's
Yeah.
like, why am I talking to you and not the people that actually are going to do the thing, right? It's a disconnect. When you go to, let's say, just an example from the West, you go to an Apple store or a Sony store,
Yeah.
you talk about TV or camera,
Yes.
this is relative, because
Yes.
the salesperson might be able to own this.
Yes.
So if you go to a Lamborghini store or a Maserati, they're talking about this car. It's like, look, you don't talk to me about this car. I know more about this car because these are the cars I buy. All my friends have these cars. So I think it also depends on what.
Okay, you need to know the target audience. Who are you selling what to?
And it can also make it more enjoyable for the actual salesperson.
Right.
It's like, I believe in these products, I use these products, and now I want to help you to also enjoy these products.
Right. So it's what they call resonance.
Right.
Right. 这你销售跟那个客户是不是有一定的共鸣？So it's about resonance with the customer. Now, so coming back to the autonomy part, a lot of times it's like why autonomy? Part of the reason is these days, if you want to sell better, whether it's just selling Apple products, Lamborghinis, complex IT solutions, industrial automation, 不管你卖什么东西，就工业品、消费品、电子产品、什么产品 ，a lot of times it is not just about reading your brochure to the customer. 你要卖任何东西，不是说你那个什么的手册里面说什么，然后就照搬钱给这个客户。You need to think on your feet. 你需要就是用脑子去了解客户需求，然后给到他们要的方案。So you need to have a lot of brain power. A lot of this brain power is autonomous. That means you rely the salesperson to think for his own or her own. So there's a huge need for autonomy to succeed in sales. Right? So that's one part. Now the other question is, but bosses, sometimes bosses don't want to give too much autonomy. That's not how much autonomy can we give. 有些老板不太愿意给太多的自由。So how do you balance that autonomy and control? Any suggestions?
Like I think you said in the beginning, just like where you said set clear targets.
Yes.
So that would be a great place to hold each other accountable.
Okay.
Once your sales process actually logging in those targets, you can see that they are generating the results. That you have agreed upon. So that how would they go about doing it? That would be upon their own results.
So we set targets. Now the thing is, don't just set number targets. 我们要有时候要设指标，但不要老关注指标。Why? Because your numbers are a consequence of your actions. 你这些数字你挣多少，没挣多少，前提是你前面做了哪些方面的一些活动，后面才有你的数字。Right? So this is your numbers are a consequence of your actions. So don't just hold people accountable for the numbers. Ask them, what have you been doing? Which customers have you been visiting? If you need to visit new customers, so have you done which kind of new customers? If you need to sell new products, have you discussed about new products or approach customers with needs that could they could benefit from the new products? Right? They match the right actions. 下一。Right, so sometimes what you also can do is to have a kind of a contracting. 有时候呢，作为销售领导跟销售人员、销售团队我们是不是能够有一定的一种契约？So can we have kind of contracting? So the leader can share, what do I expect from my team? 我作为领导，我希望我的团队做些什么事？怎么办？ And the other part is the leader can say, okay, I'm a leader, so what can I bring to the team? What can I do to support my team? 我作为领导，除了我希望我团队能够为我做什么事，我也可以说，我希望我能够为我的团队提供哪些方面的支持。So that's one part. And the other part,下一个。And team members, your sales team members can also say that, okay, as part of the sales team, what can I do for my team? And what can I expect from my team leader? 作为销售的这个员工，同样是双向的。员工可以说，我愿意为我的团队做些什么东西，然后同时呢，我也希望我的领导能够为我们做些什么。Right? So you can have the kind of expectations. Now, there's a line below. So what happens if the sales leader and the sales team members have different ideas? What do you do? It's easy when the sales leader and the team members want to do the same thing. That's easy. But what happens if you have different things? 领导说的，我希望大家做什么什么，然后大家说我们要做的是其他什么什么。What happens? Why do you do that? Hire a coach. Thank you. Yes. What else?
Well, I think you could look at what are the differences in expectations and why have they arisen.
You may want to find out, what these are, why are the differences. You may also want to think about, okay, what is the organization goal? 企业大的升级嘛，更大的一个视野。公司、你企业的这个单位的更大的要求。So what is the organization goal? What is the greater team's goals? What are some of the things that we do tend to fit more into the greater goals?
Yes, some of the KPIs might be wrong, so you're driving behavior in your sales team, which actually is not completely.
Yes, so sometimes you're measuring the wrong things. So yeah, and whatever it is, we can always have discussions about what to expect, what we can expect from one another, and see whether we can have mutual understanding. Right? So it goes back to the autonomy. So autonomy is not just giving to you and nothing else. It's giving to you and holding you accountable, and all the accountability comes from, do we have mutual common expectations? 所以我们给对方一些自由的这个空间，不是说我给的就我都不管。那我给的是要对方为他的自由负责，怎样负责呢？大家彼此是不是有一定的共性？大家彼此的相互的希望是不是有一定的这个相互的这个了解？然后在这个基础上，我们才能够有这个。So that's something to think about, right? And with that, I think we've to the end. I think this is my last slide. 下一个是什么？好像我还是没说。Yes, so what are the key takeaways today? Anyone want to share anything? Yes.
My question. So, I like everything you said. Right?
Thank you.
And I can see how this would work in the West.
Yes.
I have
of maybe why some of this might be a challenge in Asia or in China, maybe specifically. So I've worked with a lot of, I don't want to generalize, I only know what I've experienced.
Sure.
I've worked with a lot of Chinese people who maybe are not so open to pointing towards their own weakness or their own flaws, right? Because as you said, we pick at other people's weaknesses. So the one thing we don't want to do is tell the boss, hi, I'm terrible at this. That's not what you want to. Oh no, it's her fault. She didn't do this. He didn't do that. Like so the client, the economy, whatever. So everything makes sense in theory, right? But in practice, I imagine this would be quite difficult here
In what way?
to actually get maybe Chinese people to think in such a way, to be self-reflective. Say what is wrong, what is not working, because sometimes they point. Because I've had these conversations, or we've had reviews, and say, oh, no, everything's fine, nothing's wrong, don't worry. Okay, no, seriously, there are genuine concerns.
Yeah.
Oh, everything's fine. It's like, that's not true. Everyone has. So it's about this openness, or really looking inside, self-reviewing, showing weakness is okay, being open, being vulnerable. But maybe culturally that's not normal, right? So isn't that not a challenge? Yeah.
I'm going to ask a lot of Chinese people here. Yes, there. I'm going to ask Chinese people. I'm going to ask Chinese people.
I'm sales. So I'm not really.
Okay.
Not really. Yeah. We were talking about sales. So the CJ was talking about skills, how to coach your people, how to get members. I mean, your sales team members from your sales team. They are determined to do sales. People tend to be open. Yeah, this is my experience.
Yep.
This is my experience, and I haven't done things in a coaching way, but somehow like this. So this is my experience with my people, with my Chinese people, with different backgrounds, actually very different backgrounds. People are intent to see. People enjoy selling.
That's actually good. I think I want to change what I said. But I think what I said it could be correct. But I think the sales they have different motivation.
Yeah.
So actually they might tend to be more open, but maybe other administrative staff or
Okay,
other
the other thing from a Chinese boss, not so much about Chinese employee, but a Chinese boss. So if you got a Chinese employee come to the boss and say, the economy is bad, which salespeople say that all the time. The economy is bad, competition is bad, the customer is bad, they're squeezing our prices, and everything else is bad. The company is not paying us enough. We don't have enough technical support. You know, there's a lot of reasons. You can call it reasons. You can call it excuses. They share a lot. And the typical Chinese boss will just tell the salesperson, "Don't tell me what's happening out there. Tell me what you can do."
Sounds like my wife. She's Chinese as well. That's where I get all my knowledge. Rule number one, she's always right.
That's ubiquitous. That's my recommendation.
But rule number two, even when she's wrong, just remember
she's
rule
right.
number one.
You're getting into the group of being a Chinese man.
She taught me these rules at the beginning. I switched it. That's the only way I remember is that rule number one, I'm always wrong. And rule number two, even when I'm right, just remember.